Hello students, today we are going to discuss Class 8 Rachna Sagar English Literature Reader Chapter 10 The Devoted Friend. A part, state whether the following statements are true or false. Number 1. Little Hans did not have many friends. False. Number 2. Hugh the Miller was very charitable. False. Number 3. The miller's wife always showed the right path to her husband. False. Number 4. Hans did not want to upset the miller ever. True. Number 5. The miller was not at all interested in helping Hans in the real sense of the word. True. Now let's move to B section. Answer the following questions. Number 1. How was the miller different from little Hans? Answer. Little Hans was very generous by nature. The miller pretended to be generous but always reasoned with himself in the opposite way. Little Hans considered the miller his true friend, but the miller was mean to little Hans over everything. Question number 2. Why was little Hans sad in the winters? Answer. In the winters, little Hans was very sad because he had no fruits or flowers to bring to the market. He suffered from cold and hunger and often had to go to bed eating a few dried peas and some hard nuts. Question number 3. Why did Hans want to sell his primroses? Sir, little Hans wanted to sell his primroses to buy back the wheelbarrow, the silver chain, and the silver buttons of his Sunday coat with the money he got from the primroses. Question number 4. What reasons did the miller give Hans for not lending his lantern? Answer. The miller said that it was a new lantern and would be a great loss to him if something should happen to it. Question number 5. How did little Hans die? Answer. To help his friend, the miller, little Hans went for the doctor in the storm at night, lost his way in the storm, and wandered off into the moor. The moor was full of deep holes, and little Hans fell into one of them and died. Question number 6. What were the various tasks that Hans did for the miller? Answer. Little Hans gave his only plank of wood to the miller. He filled the miller's basket with fruits and flowers. He also carried the sack of flour for the miller to the market, and even sold the flour. He repaired the roof of miller's barn too. He drove the miller's sheep up the mountain for grazing and ran a host of little errands for him. Finally, on a stormy night, little Hans went to fetch the doctor for the miller's son and died drowning in a deep hole in the mirror. Now, let's move to C section. Rewrite the following sentences without changing the meaning. Number 1. He would never go by his garden without leaning over the wall, plucking a handful of sweet herbs. Answer. Whenever he went by his garden, he would pluck a handful of sweet herbs for himself. Question number 2. There is no good in my going to see little Hans as long as the snow lasts. For when people are in trouble, they should be left alone and not be bothered by visitors. Answer. It is not worthwhile for me to go and see Hans as long as the snow lasts, because I feel that people should be left alone during their troubles. Number 3. Do you think it would be unfriendly of me if I said I was busy? Answer. I would like to refuse doing your work as I am busy unless you consider my behavior unfriendly. Number 4. I will certainly take care not to give away anything again. One always suffers for being generous. Answer. I will also always make sure that I do not give anyone anything because it is not worthwhile being generous. Thank you. Now the chapter is complete. Please like, share and subscribe my video. Thank you.